This car is the GLB. The car on my left, that's the EQB. At first glance, these SUVs look similar to each other, but they're a lot closer. They're actually built on the same platform, and Mercedes for the first time is giving us the opportunity to test the electric and the diesel powertrains back to back. This is the present, but this is the future. So we'll find out more about these SUVs. But before you get to know more, like, share and subscribe to the Evo India YouTube channel, and of course, hit the bell icon. While the GLB and the EQB are the spiritual successors to the B-Class, there's not even a hint of MPV in them. The world wants SUVs, and the boxier the better. The GLB specifically looks very cool with its straight lines, high bonnet and tall shoulders. The rear looks like a shrunken GLS, which will appeal to a lot of people. The EQB has exactly the same shut lines as the GLB, but with the swooping headlights and the connected tail lamps, it softens the whole macho stance. You may even think it borders on an estate body style, but these are proper 7-seat SUVs. Now, isn't that interesting, driving an electric vehicle and a diesel variant of the same car? The GLB and the EQB are built on the same platform. Now, driving the 220D in the GLB and this 300 4MATIC in the EQB, there's a stark difference between the two. On paper, the GLB has a 0 to 100 time of 7.6 seconds, and this car has a 0 to 100 time of about 8 seconds. But when you drive it on the winding roads of Kodai, getting down towards Madurai, the EQB feels much faster. That's because you're driving an electric car, you've got all the torque at 0 RPM, and so you can actually shoot through corners. But the GLB, in fact, is quite engaging there. That 2-liter motor, nice and punchy. It's quick, and it even sounds nice when you're about 2000 something RPM. Now look at me talking about what a diesel engine sounds like while you're driving an EQB. Because this car is so relaxing, nice and quiet and comfortable. You're probably fresher by the time you reach your destination, and that's an electric car for you. GLB comes from Mexico, and this EQB is built in Hungary, and they're imported to India. Mercedes India is trying for local assembly of these cars, but it's not going to happen anytime soon, and that's why you don't have the 350 in the EQB, because that would price the car out of whack. So this 300 4MATIC has 2 electric motors with a combined output of 225 horsepower and 390 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 is in 8 seconds, and you've got a WLTP range of 423 kilometers. If you've got a nice winding section around where you stay and you're going downhill, you're only adding to your range. This car, for example, when I was driving downhill, it was showing 99 kilometers to a kilowatt hour of battery usage, and with its 66.5 kilowatt hour battery, I'm theoretically able to drive the car, especially if I'm going downhill, for over 6,600 kilometers. That's of course not going to happen. You're going to find a highway, and you're going to find flat patches and inclines along the way. But that's the beauty of electric cars, especially in the hills when you're driving. Going downhill, you're only adding to your range. The regeneration is working to juice up the battery all the time, and so you start up with 423 kilometers of WLTP range in this car, and right now I've done about 85 kilometers, and I'm down the hill now, and it's still showing 427 kilometers on the dash. The USP of both these SUVs is that both are 7-seaters. In the Mercedes lineup, besides the GLS, there's no 7-seater, so now the GLB adds to it, and that's why they keep marketing the car as a baby GLS. But one thing Mercedes is very clear about is that the third row of seats is only for preteens and pets. So that's a good thing, because you don't want to be entering the third row of seats, and as we all journalists do, sit in the back and show you how cramped the space is and it's not usable. And exactly, it's not usable for grown-ups, and let's not kid ourselves about 7-seater SUVs. They aren't for grown-ups over long distances. Maybe the GLS because of its size, but definitely not the GLB. For preteens, there's enough space. I have a golden retriever and I'd like to see whether he fits in the back with the seat folded. Now the EQB, because it's not built on an electric vehicle platform, it's the same platform as the GLB. There are some compromises, and the first thing that comes to mind is the ground clearance. This car has 155 mm of ground clearance, which is for an SUV not the best you can have. It's not bad because you can drive over most of the roads easily, but when it gets a little tricky, you gotta be careful about the underbody, touching a large speed breaker, for example. You gotta be a little careful about that. The ride quality is quite nice. These are steel springs, they are not air suspension, but the ride quality is quite nice, especially over bad roads, the larger bumps and all this stuff. It takes it quite well. EQB and the GLB, both the SUVs are narrower than the GLC. That really works on Indian roads because most of our roads, especially the winding roads up in most of the hills, they're quite narrow. So placing your car is quite nice, and you've got these lovely two ridges on the bonnet. So when you're sitting in the driver's seat, usually I like my seat nice and low, but in this car I've placed it a little higher to see those ridges, and it gives you a really nice commanding view of the road ahead. Hopping from the EQB to the GLB, this is the 2-liter diesel and it's the top of the line version, which means you get all-wheel drive, the 4MATIC. It's got 188 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 in 7.6 seconds. So it's a quick car and it actually feels quick. The motor is nice and refined, peppy, picks up pace quickly, and especially when you got the dynamic selector here and you put it into sport mode, the shifts are quick and you're always in the right gear, especially in the twisties. When we were driving back from Kodaikanal to Madurai, the twisties, the car's always in the right gear and it's always got that diesel torque to pull you through corners, and it's a lot of fun and it actually sounds also nice. At low RPMs, the gruff diesel, is audible, but it sounds nicer the more you step on the gas. And you actually enjoy driving the GLB. The diesel is quite nice to drive. And this 8-speed DCT is a very quick shifter. So you're always in the right gear, especially when you're in sport mode. You also get a petrol, the GLB 200. On paper, it's just a 1.4 liter turbo petrol, but it makes 161 horsepower, which is quite decent. It's not available on the media drive, so I don't know exactly how it's going to perform in the GLB, especially with its 7-seat configuration, so added weight and all that stuff. And it's got the 7-speed DCT, not the 8-speed that you get in this in the diesel. So yeah, that would be a good petrol SUV if you want to drive around in the city or short distances. But on the highway, the diesel is the one to have because it's got the legs for it, and it's also going to be a lot more efficient. What has really impressed me about the GLB is the ride quality. Over bad surfaces, the way the suspension soaks in everything. This is a CBU, so it's not tuned to Indian roads, but it takes over bad roads with ease. I suppose because it's made in Mexico and maybe the South American market is kind of similar in terms of roads and infrastructure. I'm not sure about it, but the GLB rides so well on Indian roads. It soaks in all the undulations with ease, especially at low speed. The low speed ride is quite good, which is good if you're driving it in the city because you're not going to be driving above 60-70 kilometers per hour. It takes over all the bad patches with absolute ease. The boxy look of the GLB, those squared headlamps, those strong shoulders on the outside, they carry forward into the interiors of the GLB. You've got these straight lines on the inside. You sit nice and high in this SUV. While the USP of these SUVs are the 7 seats, there's a lot more going for them. The GLB 220D is refined and peppy. The EQB 300 is quick, it's butter smooth. Both these SUVs have excellent ride quality and the quality of fit and finish is top notch. But which one would you choose? Would you go for the GLB and stick to a diesel or a petrol? Or would you go for the future, the EQB? That's where we're heading. So let us know in the comment section below.